Welcome to this episode of the Holly Hughes podcast, where people come to listen to stories and life about living a life outside of the corporate box. Today, I'm excited because I know this woman. Actually, I know 3 people with her name, which is part of what I can't wait to get into. But Soraya Ho is a multilingual goddess of Jeju. This is what I've given you as a title. She's an official tour guide, and she has her own podcast, which is called Vamos a Jeju. So welcome, Sora. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Goddess of Jeju, that's a big name. I love it. It's
I
really a big
think
name.
we met on a tour, and I want to know how you went from corporate America, IT, technology, to managing personalities and people coming to a place that you live and love. So, can you bring me through that and don't skip over Africa?
It's very random. So, first of all, I studied English literature and business from University of Seoul. And then after graduation, I start working in e company in like corporate Korean company. And SK, I was working there as a developer for 4 years. And back then, the working, in Korea we say work and life balance, and it was not good. It was really, really bad. So sometimes we work like until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then we had to go back to the office in the morning, like 8 a.m. So there's no life at all. So I did like for 4 years and I felt like, oh, I'm done. And actually, there's one more story. Actually, one of my 선배, 선배.
Yeah.
How do I
Yeah.
say that in English? Like
No,
senior? Yeah.
like an
No, not
older
senior.
senior, like a senior.
Right. Just
I think
one.
that's, yeah, I think that's a word they should actually use often in the translations of shows
Right,
because they say it so
right.
often. I was like, if you actually just say the word, we'll understand it. That's one of my things.
Yeah. So one of my 선배, like most important 선배, he committed suicide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it affect me a lot, a lot. So I could not stand working in the same places. So I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm just quitting this job. And back then, my one of my friends, he traveled to Latin America. So
Hmm.
he just told me it's a really good place. So I was like, okay, I'm quitting my job and there's nothing to do, so I'll just go to Latin America. So I planned to travel like for 1 or 2 months, and
Mm-hmm.
then I extended the travel for 6 months. It was
Wow.
really, yeah, I was really happy, I think. So after 6 months, so I came back to Korea, and then I was into salsa dancing that time because Latin America, they dance a lot. So I met a girl in the club, salsa club, and then she told me like she know one travel agency. They're looking for a tour leader. So maybe you can try that one. So I tried the interview with the owner, with the boss, and then he said, okay, let's work together. So I start working as a tour leader for Korean girls to go to Latin America around 10 years.
Wait. I have to stop because this is all so many good things. I had 2 roommates from South America. One was Colombian and one was Argentinian, and
Mhm.
their dancing, forget it. Like when you're saying salsa, if anyone has not actually danced with someone from Latin America, you cannot understand the power and the sexiness of how they move. And the men are very in command of it. And I always tell this story. I think one of the most beautiful humans I ever met, his name was Mauro. And first of all, he was so out of my league. He was just, no. But he was the cousin of my roommate. So he was always there. And I would just be in the corner, like little chubby version of me. They call me gordita. I was like, man, entiendo. Because I became fluent. I definitely could understand everything. And they would practice their English while I practiced my Spanish. So by the end, we would just be bickering, right? Because we could talk so fast, right? But I would just be like, because he was so good looking. And then I one day he's like, "Do you want to dance with me?" I was like, "Yeah." Yeah. And we danced. And of course there was nothing, but he was so good. Like he just twisted me everywhere. And I can dance. I dance, but like an American salsa class is very different than an after hours club because all the clubs, I was in Washington, D.C. then. So the Latin American clubs all opened at midnight or 1 a.m. So they
Mm-hmm.
opened up very late and they stayed open until 5 in the morning. And then I would go to school. I'm just saying.
Wow,
I
you're
know, but
very
see, they were all on
passionate.
drugs. They were all on drugs, and I didn't know that because I'm so naive. I didn't do any. So they were all high as a kite. That's how they did it, but not me. I just dragged my tiredness over. But that's very different. And the Spanish they speak is different than the Spanish I learned in school, which was much more from Spain and a little bit with the
The
Castilian
right,
the.
right,
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that. Mm-hmm.
The,
Speaking.
which is, I would assume, easier to learn or speak because I find Korean is in the front of the mouth as well, right? You guys touch your tongue there often too when speaking. It's one
Mm-hmm.
of my big
Mm-hmm.
stumbling blocks in learning the language is that I was like, my tongue is not in the right spot. Whatever.
It's
That's very weird.
okay. It doesn't really matter.
I try. Some people don't like it. Like some people are like, oh, that's good. You tried. Other people are like, my teacher was like, that's not how you do it. I was like, it's my first time saying this word. Just give me, let me try. Let me try. Look at your face.
Yeah. I mean, language is for communication. You don't really need
Mm,
to put like the right exact. What is the right pronunciation? Because also Korean people don't make the sounds properly. You know that. Like we always mumble. So doesn't really matter.
I think you blend sounds like, you blend sounds different. So I think my big journey was that after all the classes I took, I learned that I'm a throat speaker, that like I really speak in my throat and it's Korean is much more of a mouth language. But I want to know where you were in Latin America, what country?
At first, I traveled to Mexico, Cuba, Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, Colombia, like basically everywhere, Chile, Argentina. So I went to Latin America. My first time was 2015. Back then, my favorite country was Cuba. But I went to Cuba this year again for the tour, and it was very different from what I experienced before.
That's sad. How big is the tour that you lead there? Like how many people do you usually take over at a time?
So usually one group is 25 Korean people and it's for 1 month.
I mean, okay, if you're not watching the video, my mouth is totally open. That Wow. Okay, we'll go back to that because I want to finish like how you ended up back on Jeju. So I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing because like having someone die by suicide is very hard. And although I'm always curious about the Korean culture as part of why I visit, there's something in me that feels home there. That work culture is something I know I wrestle with because it's the Bali Bali, and I just have heard so many horror stories about office workers and the amount of time and then the no life and all the pressure. And I was hoping that that was changing a little, but I don't think that it is it?
I think it's changing slowly, because compared to the time that I was in the corporate, so it's been like how many years now? It was 2012, so now it's been 15 years, and I think it's changing. In it had changed a lot, but still we have many problems. Have you watched the new K drama series on Netflix, The Dream Life of Mr. Kim? It's about like Korean seniors,
Mm-hmm.
and it is so true. Like it's very
Oh.
crucial, but it's true. Yeah, it's sad.
It started and it was so sad because I felt like that would have been me that I stopped.
Really?
But it's like I think it opens and he's like sitting in the guy's chair or whatever. And I was like, oh, we're probably the same age. And so I was like, that's too much reality for me. I don't want that right now. Now I'll
Also,
go
same thing
back.
happened. Like similar thing happened to me when I watch When Life Gives You the Tangerine.
Yeah.
It's not me, but like I couldn't stop crying until like episode 4. So I was like, okay, I should stop. So I Just stop it.
I stopped that one
I
for
could.
a while too. I
Did you
did.
finish?
I, did I finish? I don't know if I watched the last episode. I think so. For me, it's always a combination of curiosity because that's what drives me in my life, like and wanting to be better. And how do I create? When I first got turned on to like Korean storytelling, when I write fiction, it's very magical realism. So your Korean storytelling and some of the older dramas that I watched had elements that seemed so that made sense to me. That was like, oh my God, that's how I tell story. That's how I see it. And it's often a hurdle for me when I share my stories. People are like, I don't understand. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I was like, oh, I have to work it out. So that's like a writer's problem. But like I just love that. And when I was there and I start learning about the culture and what is life like and the history, the Japanese occupation, like when I start going deeper beyond the beauty and the surface and K beauty and all the things that I still enjoy, there's a trauma that is reminds me of my family stories. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's too much for me, and sometimes it makes me feel more connected, all depending on what
Mm-hmm.
the story is. But there's something about the character because you also taught me that Jeju is full of, right, wind, women, and rocks, right? Wasn't the third one rocks?
Yes, yes, right, right, right.
See, I can
Yeah,
remember.
good.
But when I saw the women and why they were strong, right? You know, like it just had a whole other layer to all of that. So, and she was always screaming, and my grandmother was like that. Everyone said she's a loud talker. She would just yell at you because she loved you, like she was loud. So that kind of reminded me of that. But at some point, I'm like, stop yelling, stop yelling. It's why my mom says she has a very soft voice, was because her mother was always yelling. But I
Mm-hmm.
did not. I know that they end up together, like all the things, and their story was pretty. But I kept thinking back of what you had taught me and what I had researched and was tying it all together. Okay, so let's go back to you in South America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you stay there 6 months and then you come
And then,
back and you become a guide. So how long did you do that before you ended up in Jeju? And what brought you there?
so I worked as a tour leader for Korean group from 2016 until this year. And then it's long time, 10 years. But we had pandemic in the middle. So during pandemic, everything stopped. We could not go outside Korea. And then I feel like I want to do something new because I can't go outside. I want to do something new. And then I found this tour guiding inside Korea for foreigners. And I started in Seoul. And then I didn't really enjoy living in Seoul because, it's busy. It's beautiful, but it's too many people, too much competition. Originally, I was born in the like near DMZ, in a countryside. I was born in countryside, but we moved to Seoul when I was like 13. So I lived like Greater Seoul for more than 10 years or 20 years, I think. Yeah. And I didn't really enjoy it. And my partner and my husband and I, we were like, we want to let's go. I don't know. We want to live in Jeju later in the future when we have enough money. And we talked about this a lot. So like during pandemic, we were like, maybe we should just go to Jeju. And actually, I had an interview with an agency in Jeju and I got the job. So, okay, let's just go, let's just move to Jeju. So that's how it happened.
I
Easy.
do you live like on in the like Jeju is bigger than I thought. So I think I
Hmm.
should tell like what I had an idea of it, even though I had seen shows that it was smaller, but it's pretty large. It's like way
Hmm.
bigger than I thought. It's got different places. It's got different cities within it as well. So I think a lot of people just think it's tangerines and fishing, and it's a lot more than that. So that's amazing. So I live pretty rural. You would probably like it, and I crave cities. So see, we have the opposite. It's funny. We have funny. So I want to say you were an amazing. I want transparent. I want you were my tour guide in Jeju, and when I met you, I was really sick, and I was really trying not to be a bummer. right? Because I just honestly wanted to spend one day in bed. And I was like, well, I'm only here for 5, so I can't spend a day in bed. You were like so kind and helped to get me medicine. And I was just like, I didn't want to blow my nose in front. I was like, I don't want to get anyone else sick. But my body was like, I had been traveling for 2 weeks already on my own. And my body, just from the grind of it, because I'm older than everyone that I was traveling with, was just, I was like, slowing down. But you were encouraging and kind. And so I admire that because I don't know if people understand what it's looked like to be you standing and staring at these strangers that you don't know, trying to accommodate them and all the needs that each person has. So what part of your personality like lets you just kind of go with that? Because you are very good at that. And I should also tell people who maybe haven't been to Korea is that it's very hilly, right? You should be in shape. You should be able to walk at a good pace because the ajushis and the ajumas will pass you if you do not get out of their way, even on the hikes. So I skipped out of a hike one day, the first day, because I knew I couldn't really breathe. So I didn't want to be the girl in the back. That would annoy me to no end. But you do have to manage people who don't think like that. So how is the sort of magic? Like how do you do that? Can you when you see people now, can you identify which personality they will have or do people still surprise you?
Yeah, actually, I think I'm a little talented on that. I can read. I think because of my experience, like working with people, like traveling. So when I see people, I think I know who needs help because some people don't feel well and some people feel like uncomfortable with something. And then I think I can read that facial expression or the atmosphere. Yeah, I think that's one of my ability to read like what people feel that
Do you
way.
ever take it personally or are you able to like keep it like this is just work and it's not about me? Do you know? Like I don't.
I think a few first year of how do I say like when I first start working, I I felt that way. I felt like maybe he's not comfortable because of me, but then like after a few years, I realized that it was not me, and then now I feel like it's not me. I mean, they have something on their I mean their situation, so yeah, I think I don't really take it for me, from me.
Yeah, personally, yeah. If you're at a transition point in your life and you're wondering, how do I go from point A to point B? I'm tired of being defined by what other people think of me. Read my book, Real Not Perfect: How to Become Your Happy, Authentic Self. It's a step by step guide to help you reclaim your voice, your passion, and your self worth. Available at all booksellers and in the links below. If you're enjoying the stories about my friends from all over the world, I know you're going to love an upcoming episode with Tara Connigan. She is an Irish sessions musician, and her podcast is Sessions Etiquette. Go check her out. When you like switched from like corporate, is there like something you wish you knew about what you were about to do, or do you think it was better just to dive in?
I think it's better not knowing and dive in.
Same.
Right. Because most of my friends they're still in the corporate and they make a lot of money. So it's better not knowing and then just go for it.
That's so funny. So like you're still young though too. Like you started young and still are working young. I like that. Is there I know in your on your podcast. So I also know you're fluent in now English, Spanish, and obviously Korean. So when you're doing your podcast, Vamos a Jeju, like I know that you speak in Spanish. So is that channel 100% in Spanish always?
Oh, the podcast is 100% in English.
But the
Yeah.
reels I've seen that you do in Spanish,
Yeah. Also, I'm preparing a tour in Spanish. That's why, because the co-host Ed is also speak some Spanish, and
oh,
then we were talking like most of Americans they know the expression "vamos somewhere,"
yeah.
so maybe we can just use that. And then I also preparing a tour for Spanish people, Spanish speaking people. So yeah, well, actually, 100% English.
Okay. Excellent. I
Yeah.
love that. Because when I first heard it, I was like, look at you. And you're like, yeah, a script. I was like, no. You can read a script, but you have to, the way you speak is much more natural than just a script. So I
Mm.
highly recommend. I'm a big fan. Okay, so I know what Jeju is kind of famous for. What do you find people come there most curious about?
I think nowadays the Haenyeo woman diver is really big thing. So like last week I had a documentary team came to Jeju to film the documentary for woman diver with the free diving champions. Yeah, it was really cool. And of course the nature here, because we have one of the nature. No, we have the seven wonders of nature in Jeju,
Oh,
right?
you have the
So
big craters.
right, that one we went up together. Mm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the day I skipped. I think that was our
Yeah,
first day.
maybe.
But like the second day, we went to see another crater and it was just raining and it's just fog. It's just the weather in Jeju is will give you whiplash. So pack
Mhm.
for rain and bright sun. And that was fascinating to me. But I have a favorite hike. I actually took a video. I did walk slow that day because I was so happy, not because I couldn't do it. It was the day we went up towards the lighthouse.
The small island.
Yeah, the Uru.
Mhm.
Udo?
Udo, right,
Udo,
right.
Udo.
Udo.
I think that was that little hike because it really wasn't very hard, but it was so peaceful to me. And the way down that forest was so peaceful. If I could camp, like I would stay there. I have all these videos of just walking down the path, and another woman on the tour, Kim, she was there with me. I was like, oh, at least I'm like, well, I've been having to wait for people. They can wait 5 minutes. I was just so happy. I didn't want to leave. It was more of that as opposed to anything else. I think I felt a little better finally, and it was stunning. So, I'm an intuitive, so I can see things. And so when I'm in Korea, I will see things that I don't know what they are because they're not my culture and I wasn't
Mhm.
exposed to them. So when I first went to Gyeongju and I
Mhm.
saw a giant white horse in my eye, like in my mind's eye, everywhere. And then when I went in and saw that it was the spirit of the place, I was like, okay, that's crazy. And then we went to a temple and I kept seeing they were dokebi, right? But they
Mhm.
looked a lot like the stone dokebi. Like they looked
Okay.
like that gremlin
Mhm.
doll. I don't know how to explain. I don't have, maybe you have better words to explain what they look like, but it's other people, the American audience might know like foo dogs, temple dogs, but their face is
Mhm.
kind of round in Korea. And I'm like
Mhm.
looking around and I'm like, what are these? And like I went and researched when I got back to my hotel. I was like, I am seeing all of these really cool things. So in Jeju, in that part of the woods, I felt similar. I felt like beautiful, loving, welcoming, like spirit. And so I was like, well, why would I want to leave this spot? I like this. And because some of the dokebi were like, you can see me, and they would give me weird looks. And I know this all sounds crazy, but it's true, right? So I would
Mhm.
see some of that, but that was also very interesting because the land of Jeju is so different than actually of Korea. And that's like something that you spend a lot of time teaching people about. So is that part of what brought you there too and keeps you there, the difference?
But I just want to say, I mean, you may remember, maybe you remember that I told you, did you, we still have 18,000 different god and goddess.
Yes.
Many, many. And then we still have a lot of shamanistic ritual. Because actually, 2 weeks ago, we had shamanistic ritual for the woman diver for the
Ooh.
safety of the year. And then we had the shaman came and then he did those, how do I say?
The
those
ritual?
ritual, yeah, the
Mm.
rituals, and then people were crying, people were laughing. It was really, really like fascinating, really interesting. Maybe you should come and see that one, and you will see a whole different
I did. I remember
things
asking you
than
to see
me.
if I could see one, but you told me they don't stay in towns, that the shamans are typically outside of the main
Hmm.
spot. But there's a Netflix show that has all Korean shamans. Do you know about this one?
No,
I,
what is
oh,
that?
but
You
I
know better
couldn't,
than me.
because I don't know, Korea makes me happy. So they do saju, right? They do cards, tarot, astrology, and
Mm-hmm.
I know they have 12 guides each, 12 ancestors, right? The guardians,
Mm-hmm.
like each shaman when they study, whatever I
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
what I learned when I researched it. They brought all of these shamans onto a stage, and for me, I could feel their guides watching the show, and I was like, that's too much. And then they were testing people's abilities, and they brought a picture of a woman. And although I can feel people who have passed, right? I'm a medium. I don't like doing it. Makes me physically ill, gives me a really bad headache. They brought a picture of a woman who had died. And so everyone was writing like what they saw. And I was like, no, this is not a show for me. Like if I could learn about how they connect, but I guess there's a lot of secrecy around it, right? There's like an interesting barrier and like this is kept private, right? So no matter how much I would research something, to find it in English is very impossible for me. But I wanted to get a set of bells. I really wanted
If you,
butterfly
yeah,
bells.
once you come back, I'll take you to the shaman so you can.
I'll
But
go for
because
that.
like in Jeju, actually, like not many, but some people still do those kind of ritual and like fortune telling for like with the shaman. So yeah, it would be really
Because they
interesting.
have the drums and the ribbons and they have
Right.
fans and knives and they just do it so different. They kind of like force themselves into a trance, it almost looks like to
Mm-hmm,
me.
uh-huh. Yeah, it
So
is. It is, right.
yeah. So speak about, because I know you're studying to be a female diver, and I'm just not saying the word because I can't pronounce it very well. So the women divers say their name,
Haenyeo.
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 Haenyeo. See, that's a hard one for me. So they are amazing, and we saw a show of the women.
Haenyeo's
Yeah,
kitchen.
yeah. So for me, the older woman she was so beautiful. I even said, I was like, 예쁘다. She's no. I was like, yes, but she was 80 and still diving. And I have so many questions about the ability to get in that ice cold water, right? And to still free dive, and you are learning about it like firsthand and now are diving as well. So is that one of those things you're like, I'm just going to do it? Or did you think about that one?
I wanted to do it like before, but I was too busy. I could not. And then now I am taking rest from the tour leading for the Korean groups. So I have time. So I was like, okay, I have time. Then what should I do for this year? So it was like my New Year's wish, New Year's resolution. So I just applied and then I got accepted. So like when I start something new, I don't really think too much. Because like when I think about new thing, I feel like, oh, it's gonna be fun. I don't really see the risk or I don't see the disadvantage of doing it. I always think oh, it's gonna be fun. Just do it, just try. And if it's not fun, I can just give up. Yeah.
So this is what is also fascinating about the Haenyeo to me is like their equipment isn't modern, right? They still free
Hmm.
dive in older suits and older masks. Is there a reason why they don't modernize any of that?
Before 1970, they were using the cotton suit. But after 1970, they changed it to the wetsuit. And of course, it became a lot better. And I think nowadays, for the mask, I don't know why, but they keep their equipment and the woman diver, they don't really see any disadvantage of using it because they're used to it, so they felt comfortable using it. So there's no reason to change.
I love that. And I could never do that. So, how deep can you free dive now?
For me, I can do 10 meter.
That's amazing.
But I mean, if you want, because there's a like petty, like scuba diving, also
Hmm.
free diver, there's a level. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got like petty level 2. It means I need to touch the 10 meter and then go up
Hmm.
so that I can have the level 2. So for me, I mean, I can just go to the 10 meter and then go up like right away.
I studied Patty. I tried to scuba dive. I am the worst in water. And my husband is 6'5". He's 198 centimeters. He's a big person. And so they're like, well, if you dive with him, you have to be able to flip him underwater, right? And bring him up. No, I don't know. I just was not good. I could take your mask off underwater, right? Where we took the test, it's the Pacific, so it was freezing. I think I was the only person they had who ever failed, and I tried so hard. I like practiced by putting my face in ice in my kitchen, trying to not panic. But the minute forget it, then you're choking. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. So that you can do it in any way is amazing. It is amazing. Maybe we'll have to add some like images of their cotton clothing because it's just a t-shirt that they would swim in the Pacific with. It's crazy.
It's really cold in spring. It's 11, 13 Celsius degree, the water.
Yeah, no.
And yeah, and like last week, yeah. But and when we go for documentary, we
Mm,
film the woman divers going to dive. And some of them were like the oldest one was 88 years old. And then she came with her stick because she could not walk properly. But once she get into the water, she's free. She feels a lot better without
yeah,
gravity. It was amazing, amazing.
I love that. So do you think they will still be around in 30 years? Do you think there's enough young people to carry that tradition on of being
Nowadays
Haenyeo?
we're having
Oh,
nowadays we're
good.
having a lot more young people. I know some the younger one, she's in her 30s, and we also have one woman diver from US actually. Do you know her?
Wow.
No? She's really you have oh maybe you can also have her as your guest. She's also very
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So there are many like young woman diver, not many, but there are a few woman diver, like young woman diver who start working as a Haenyeo in Jeju.
Wow. So what is the apprentice that you are? You're an apprentice Haenyeo. So, but is there a word for that?
Intern,
Intern.
intern Haenyeo.
Okay. Is that in Korean too? They just say it like
Yeah,
intern?
we just say intern. You know that we use so
Whatever.
many
I need a better word.
we use so many Konglish. You
Konglish.
know,
Nice.
many Konglish.
Okay, so like what is coming up next for you? So how many tours are you going to do? I didn't even talk about the sticks. I think the sticks were my favorite. Like the sticks at the
Sick.
door. The
Ah, right,
I guess
right,
that is
right.
what stuck with me. I was like, that works for me. Three, two, or one. I'm not here. Go away, and I'll be right back. I don't. I loved the whole idea of that. Do people still actually do that in like the rural spots or anywhere, or is it just like a piece of history?
We still use it. Oh, I mean, in a touristic place, of course, people use it. I think in the countryside, some of them are still using it, but of course now it's fading away.
Hmm. It was one of my favorite little things, but I was like, that is so smart. Like, it's a great signal, especially when you didn't have phones. I am curious that if you had to mentor someone to do what you do, what would be something that you would like suggest or say to them? If you were the sombe of someone coming and like who wanted to be a tour guide in Jeju
Mhm,
specifically,
mhm,
what
mhm.
trait or personality or something do you think is necessary?
I think first of all, you need to like people. I mean, some people told me they prefer animal than human being.
Mm,
So then it's gonna be hard for them to be a tour guide because you are going to meet many different people. And I think like each of them has like different experience, different view, and then always there's something I admire or something I can learn
Oh.
from. So I think that's the spirit for being a tour guide.
Mm. Can you do tour after tour or do you take like downtime in between?
April is the busiest season,
Mm.
so yeah, so I have only 1 or 2 days off, but
Oh.
still it's okay. But because usually now I'm doing like 2 or 3 days tour,
Uh-huh,
so
uh-huh.
after that, one day off is okay. But the one from Good May Travel, we do 1 week or 10 days. Then
Mhm.
after that, I do need the downtime. Yes.
Do you break out your hegum for people when on tour now? Because now I know you're a musician and you could play. Did I say that right? I loved
Hey,
that video, hegum.
mhm.
So that makes me think of Sugar because, right, he has the song.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
are now BTS tour is out. It's April and Cherry
Mhm.
Blossoms. So do those things make more tourists come? And are they different than other time of year?
April is the most busy season because of cherry blossom, right? And also the weather is warm and it's good. It's nice. For the haegeum, the Korean traditional instruments, no, I don't bring it to that group because I'm too embarrassed. But sometimes I bring it to like the individual tours. If there's only 2 people or 3, then I bring it, and then maybe we just try to play in the forest.
Oh, I would have done that. That sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
right.
So, when do you think is the actual best time to come that's not popular to Jeju?
Of course, the best time is spring and autumn, but also winter has its own charm because I really like the mountain Haenyeo,
Mm.
the tallest mountain in South Korea, all covered with white snow, and it's beautiful, beautiful. It's like stunning, beautiful. So
I like traveling during winter. There's also so many less people. So you
right,
get
right, and
to have less crowds because I should tell people like I took a lot of pretty pictures, but there are many people. There's always people. So I think when I first arrived, I was so surprised at that because when you see pictures, I don't like people are photoshopped out, but there's a lot of people everywhere, which is part of what I like and part of what's surprising, but also sometimes you're like, "Oh, this is this was a little different than I thought."
mm,
So, yeah, I
right.
like that.
Also in winter, it's a lot cheaper. The hotels and tours and the rental cars, everything's cheaper and less people.
Less people. I like that. So do you think you're going to stay like Jeju is your home for good now? Forever?
I think so, because actually, my husband, we really love to living in Jeju, and until now, we can't think of moving to another place. So I think we are going to live here for a very long time.
I love that for you. So what do you think is the misconception or the thing that people come to see but like it isn't exactly what they think it is? Is there does that exist for you in groups?
I think not really. I think mostly people really like to see those natures and the woman divers.
Hmm.
I think those kind of reaction is usually comes from Koreans. For visitors, no, usually Koreans, huh? Is that all? We always say that. I don't know why.
I know the way you said that. I'm like, oh, I know that
Yeah,
tone. I was like,
yeah,
mm.
yeah, yeah. That's what Korean always do that.
That's so funny. You know, the other thing that I didn't know about, and then I screamed on the beach. I call them water bugs or roaches. The black bugs on all the rocks at the beach. You did not warn me about those. And I walked up and I was about to sit on what I thought was a black rock. No, it was not a black rock. It was just a rock covered in those roaches. And I screamed
Mhm.
loud because I don't know why I didn't see it before my tush came close to it, but I screamed fuck. I was like, fuck. I was just like, whatever. And one of the women who was very British on in my
Mm.
group was like, Holly, what's your language? I was like, they don't know what I'm saying. And I almost was eaten alive by the number of bugs right here. I never hiked up a hill so fast after that. I was like, no.
It's okay. Well, we call them as a like cleaner of the sea.
Oh,
They clean the surface of the rock and then near the sea. So they're not a bad but they are good one, good boys.
I don't mind that they're good or bad. There was just so many. The whole beach was covered. And Soda was like, I'm up here having
It's
everyone up was
okay.
like, they were in a coffee shop. They were all just like sipping their coffee. I was like, I enjoy the coffee shops there because each one has a view or something, but I'm not really one to sit and just sip coffee. But I ran into the coffee shop after that. I was like, I think I'm done with that beach. That was that was my moment. I was like, no, no. I think people who know me, they're like, that was a very Holly reaction. I was like, the beach moved. I don't think you understand. Okay, so is there anything that you would love to introduce about Jeju to someone who's like maybe just hearing about it for the first time? Like, what would you love to introduce people to? Because there is so much history and culture there that's
Right.
very different than the rest of Korea.
Mhm. So, like, first of all, people come to Jeju because people call Jeju like Hawaii of South Korea. And it is because it's volcanic islands. You're gonna see like many, many black rocks around the coastal area. And also, it was that honeymoon destination before.
Oh,
So it is Hawaii of South Korea. So the nature is really beautiful at first. And the other thing, as you mentioned, we have like different culture and history.
mm,
It's very distinctive from the mainland. And those culture, like for example, the woman diver, or we have 18,000 different god and goddess, and like many like ridiculous legends. And there's so many things to learn because I am not from Jeju. I moved here like 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm still learning their culture. Like still, there's so many things to discover.
mm.
So yeah, if you come to Jeju, you will see like different parts of South Korea.
Yeah, I really like that. How long do you think you have to live there to be considered a local?
It's almost impossible.
Oh,
Here, the native, like indigenous native community is very strong. So if you're not from Jeju, it's very difficult to be the part of the
mm.
local.
Will they always keep you a little bit out?
Mhm, mhm.
Wow.
And they have
Wow.
their own language. I can understand now, but I can speak the language of Jeju dialect,
Ah,
and it's really difficult.
I learned something more today. I love that.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. Now I might have to do some diving about all of those gods and goddesses. I wonder if I could find some of the things that I saw. It's so hard to explain to people, and I don't, I kind of keep that to myself. And when I go back in my hotel, I usually journal like what I think, what I was
Mhm,
feeling, or
mhm.
whatever. But though I'm telling you, those woods on that little island, I don't, they were magic for me. It was just like it was almost like I could hear footsteps of like of people. I would like spirit. I don't know, however word would be right, but like a little spirit in the woods. And I think Americans or British people might call them fairies, or you just hear this. You could hear a skimpering, and yes, it was like wet, and the leaves were wet, and of course you could say that, but it's just a magical feeling. So thank you for having patience with me that day. I appreciate you.
It's okay.
I know you were so fun like the last night, and you even let your husband come. I love that your husband comes to pick you up at the end. I was like, are you going to let him meet the crazies? That's impressive. And of course, we should tell people you had to bring your man there because Jeju men are different.
Right, right. We have talked about this, right? Right. Because Jeju women are so strong. The mainland band they doesn't like Jeju woman. I mean, most of the band they don't like strong women, right?
Yeah.
So same thing happened in South Korea. And then when we have strong women, they usually have the
Weaker
opposite,
men.
weaker men, like lazy
Lazy.
boys.
That's what I meant. Lazy. Oh, wait,
Uh,
I have one last question because on They'll Give You Tangerines, she was never allowed on the boat. Is that still
mhm.
a superstition or not?
Still, I don't think so. I mean, I can be on a boat because I pay for it. But those kind of superstition we had a lot in the past. But this year, actually, we have the ritual for the new year.
Hmm.
And then I was trying to go to see the ritual, and actually, women are not allowed to get in. So I was like, really? Seriously? And actually, we had another ritual for women. So I was like, okay, I see. But it was still, we have something like this.
I love that. I would love a tour like that, right? All the things that they like to keep secret, so they probably wouldn't want any, foreigners there at all. But like that's fascinating to me because for me, the where the women were going in to the ocean in cotton and diving all those meters, right? And like surviving all of that, but I can't step on your boat? Like what? That man was like, you have a boat with an engine and sails, and I mean, it's very dangerous. Fishing can be very dangerous too, but still, you had your women under the water. Just saying. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Mhm.
so thank you, Soda, for joining me. I like ending each interview with the same question, which is,
Mhm.
if you came with a warning label, what would it be?
So I was thinking about it, and I think my warning label would be I go deep on the random things.
I love that answer because that to me, I interpret as you follow your curiosity, right?
Right, right. If it looks like fun, okay, let's go for it.
Yeah, and like dive into it. And if not, next,
Yeah. Another one.
next, there's more. So, where can people come and find you and connect with you? Where do you want them to go?
So you can find me on Instagram, Soraya.Jeju, or I also have English podcast about Jeju Island at valmosajeju.com. You can find it on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and YouTube as well. And
Hmm.
actually, we're building DIY trip planner page, and we're gonna launch on May soon.
Okay, so it will be up and available.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Hmm.
you're good. That's
Okay.
exciting. I'm excited for that for you. That's a
Yeah.
lot of
So
work.
I right, Ed is doing all the coding, but
Oh, good.
yes, yes. So it's a trip planner that we put all different activity what you can do in Jeju, and then you can put in the slot so you can have like whole itinerary for yourself, and it's all free so you can just try and then have your own itinerary for Jeju.
Wow. That is really amazing. I like that. I have to say, like, I part of why I think makes you special, if I could share that, is that, well, you're funny and you're smart and you don't talk down to anyone like during the tour, and you treat us like adults, but you still have a love of a place and you're sharing the love of a place, which makes us more curious. And we got to see your personality too. I'm saying you're professional, but like, you let your guard down enough to like have a joke or two or have a little soju and a beer, which is my
Mhm.
favorite.
Just
But
becoming a friend.
yeah, yeah, it felt that way. Like you have a friend who's showing you around. And so I want to thank you for that. And for anyone who's curious about exploring, I would say that is the way to go. But I have to
Thank
say about
you.
Sora. And I just love saying her name. You have to say it with me. Everyone goes, Sora. Yeah, Sora, yeah. So anyway, thank you everyone
Right,
for
right.
listening to this episode of the Holly Hughes podcast. And we'll see you soon.